Is it possible to settle credit card debt yourself without using a credit counselor or a debt consolidation company? Actually, it's very possible to settle your own credit card debt yourself. You really don't need an expensive credit counselor, as they don't actually settle your debt. And regardless of what you think, they usually charge an arm and a leg for their services that you can do for yourself, and you can do a much better job, and you can do it much more cheaply. Credit counselors don't actually settle your debt. They sometimes can get your interest rates reduced, and that's something you can do with a phone call. But they can't usually get your balances reduced. The legitimate counselors, debt management plan, where you write one big check to the credit counseling company, and then they pay your individual creditors. At least the reputable ones do. There are many credit counselors who will take your money up front with a promise to pay your creditors. They also take a hefty commission for themselves, and remember, this commission comes out of your pocket. But all too often, they don't follow through on the deal, and 6 months later you find out that no bills have been paid and that you're a candidate for bankruptcy. Surprise! That's why I encourage people to settle their own debts, avoid being taken for a very dangerous ride by unscrupulous debt counselors or consolidation companies. Here are some easy tips to help you start settling your own credit card debt. You can do this. These are some skills that you'll need. Communicate. You need to have decent verbal skills to communicate with your creditors. This doesn't mean that you have to be a public speaker. You just need to be able to communicate. This shouldn't be a problem for most folks. Just be sure to express yourself clearly without anger. And the without anger part is pretty heavy because you'll go through a lot of frustrating times here, and you always need to keep your composure, be polite and pleasant, and not have any anger. Negotiate. You'll need a clear goal in mind before you make the first call. Then realize that true negotiating involves some give and take. You may not get what you want on the first call. You may not get what you want on the second either. You will have to compromise, most likely. Just be firm but pleasant. Document. Write everything down. Date, the time, the people that you spoke to, the subject, and any deals that you made. Do this for each conversation. Keep all notes in a separate notebook for organization. I really enjoy the spiral-bound college rule white notebooks that you can get from Walmart. Cost you about $1, and you can get one for each debt that you have and keep all your records there. It really works well. Follow up. Always follow up. Complete any tasks, any phone calls, and if an agreement is reached, do your part. That's follow-up, and it's very important that you do keep your reputation intact, and that means doing what you say you'll do. While most do-it-yourselfers settle debt for an average of about 75% of the debt, those who have the skills listed above and use them can get their settlement for as low as 45 to 60%. Of course, it's possible to not get any reduction. That's how important using these skills really are. Some exceptional debt negotiators have gotten with a settlement as low as 10%. Now, that's not the norm, but if circumstances are good and the wind is blowing your way, who knows what you could get. Industry professionals, that means attorneys and professional arbitrators who bring millions of dollars to the table, they only get about 50%, which, when you look at dollar figures, is pretty darn good. These fees these professionals charge are usually around 15% of your total unsecured debt, meaning that on average your debts are settled for a cost of about 65%. That's a 50% settlement plus a 15% fee, and that 15% fee, you know where that comes from. Comes out of your pocket. If you're using the 4 skills shown above, it's definitely possible for you to walk away from the negotiating table paying as little as 45% of your debt. And that's a great deal for you. It definitely is, isn't it? Your accounts must be seriously past due. Unless your accounts are at least 180 days past due, chances are your creditors won't make any deals with you. If you're not that far past due now, do you just wait for the 180-day mark, then get serious about your debts? No way. Before you are this far past due, it's your moral and it's your legal obligation to try to pay your debts as best you can. You can always ask your creditors for a lower rate before the 180-day mark, and that's not a bad tactic either, without being in trouble. It will definitely save you some money. And you do this without the promise to make good on the debt, or with the promise to make good debt. If it turns out to be totally impossible to pay the entire debt, then save the settlement option for last, but definitely be in touch with your creditors no matter what. You always use certified mail. When negotiating your debt, it's extremely important that you follow the agreements to a T. That includes any lump sum payments sent. Those should be sent by certified mail with a return receipt. This will only cost you a couple of dollars, but the peace of mind you get when you know for sure that your payment has been received is huge. And one more rule of thumb here that I don't have written, but you definitely need to follow when you're negotiating: never give your check information out over the phone. Don't give your account information, don't give your bank information, nothing. Always send a check on paper. That way you've got control always of the dollars that go out. If your creditors misplace or lose your check or other paperwork, then the burden of proof falls entirely on you. If you can't prove that you followed through on your deal, then it may be deemed in fault and all deals will be canceled. You know how difficult it is when working with a large company, and most of these credit card companies are huge companies with lots of people. So that's why it's very important to make sure you have all your bases covered in case you have trouble, because you know darn well that these things can crop up. When sending in a check, be sure to include a copy of the agreement in your certified mail. If it's a handwritten piece of paper that you took notes from on the phone, send in. Make sure you send in a copy. Keep the original yourself. Can you really settle your own debt? Definitely, I think you can. You'll have to learn some new skills, and you need to be prepared for lots of ups and downs along the way. The path may not be smooth, but you've got lots of access to help, one of which is your local library. The key to settle credit card debt yourself is to take action, and take action now. Your debt will not go away by itself. In fact, no matter how dire things seem now, they'll get much worse off if you procrastinate. So don't put this off. Get organized and take action to help yourself, and do it today. When it's all said and done, you'll look back and you'll have very few regrets. The only real regret you'll have is if you do nothing. Are you trying without much success to become debt-free? Why does it always feel like you're just treading water in a pool? Debt? Well, feel helpless no more. Drop by DebtReliefDoctor.com to get help with your debt. I've also got a free mini book waiting for you to help that can help you get started on your own path to a debt-free life. Now, there's no obligation. It's a free download. It's a real quick read. It's got no fluff, no pictures, just enough to get you started if you've got some trouble with debt. Thank you for watching and listening to this video, and have a nice day.